police officers slash investigators etc. What are your holy shit, this criminal is smart moments. Guy found out that when a gas station lost its satellite connection, it automatically accepted all credit cards, and would presumably process them later. So, he climbed on the roof and covered the dish with foil to force it to lose connection, then made charges on a card that was cancelled. Many years ago, probably 20-ish, my dad used to own this company and one of his employees died in a car accident. In the next few days my dad received the work logs and books and things that this guy would have kept with him, and that's when my dad realized this guy was doing offline transactions. What they had to do when a client needed something after hours, I'm not exactly sure how it worked. It was something to do with the physical receipt layout, but he would overcharge X amount for the item, get to work and input Y amount paid and have the correct receipt, and pocket the difference. He had been doing this for years and years and my dad didn't realize. Not exactly the smartest, but he was never caught. My dad decided not to say anything to the family or anything like that. My old boss was a major thief with two of his close friends in my small city. They all worked normal jobs at areas where they could talk to people, waiting tables and things like that. Every year when Christmas or another break like holiday they would case out frat/sorority houses, and while everyone is seeing family, they'd clean them out, would go by storage units and look for things like cigarette butts around them and assume people probably practice playing music and store instruments there. Since clearly they're there often enough to hang around and smoke. One of them got pinched when he tried to sell an expensive guitar at a music shop and it was the shop owner's stolen guitar. Thinking quickly he said how he had bought the guitar from a guy named, let's say, Steve. Gave the cops all the info since he had been working with Steve at the restaurant waiting tables. Well, Steve actually just died about a week before in a car wreck, so no charges on anyone. They had ATVs, motorcycles, every video game console, DVDs, instruments, etc. When they were finally busted selling a four-wheeler to a sheriff's daughter, the other detective who investigated Steve told them that was a pretty clever idea, sending them after a dead man. Then they all went to prison for about 4 years. In the 2000s you could order a new credit card, not activate it, and then when you were on a long-haul flight you could upgrade via the card machine to first class once on board and then pay for the premium service, and when the flight landed and got internet connection none of the purchases would be successful and you would already be out of the airport. I never understood how they couldn't find you afterwards with your passport and credit card details, but it was a big fraudulent scam that hit the newspapers multiple times. Maybe because apart from witness testimonies there wasn't a sufficient paper trail to say that you were upgraded or had any of the expensive champagne or duty-free. I was an assistant manager at a little deli/corner store for a few years, and one of the employees bragged that he was getting a bag of weed a week from the store for free. Not to me but to other employees. I couldn't figure out how. The numbers always matched up. He was also really successful with one of our couponing programs. It took me a while to figure out that our POS system would take the coupon without the UP being scanned. In other words, the coupons were essentially cash. He was cashing out $80 a week in coupons. The kid was pretty smart. I only found out when I was doing Ray inventory in the books the same week. I saw that we sold a ton of ice cream and thought, geez, I am gonna have to restock the crap out of that. Then realized that it was fully stocked and put two and two together. I am not a police officer but knew a doctor who was kind of a scam artist. It was a bit odd because he was a brilliant doctor and made so many people's lives better that people were so grateful they were always throwing money at him. Anyway, he ran a motor vehicle accident rehabilitation clinic, and he paid police officers a referral fee for any accident victims that they sent his way. It was something like 500 Canadian dollars, which sounds like a lot, but each client was worth tens of thousands of dollars to the clinic. He also literally hired one of the guys who wrote the actual tax code for an accountant/lawyer, so he would get away with so much slimy stuff. But I'm sure the revenue agency knew who he hired, so they were like, yeah, that guy is untouchable, don't waste your time. Okay, not a police officer here. Worked in a corporate hair salon. We had a class on loss prevention at one time, and the lady that came to talk about what constitutes as theft with employees. One story she told us was about another salon, located somewhere else, where the stylists themselves were stealing money right from the company. Out of 5 stylists, 4 of them were scamming the company. Instead of running credit card payments through the corporate credit card system on the POS, they would tell the clients the CC system was down, and they would have to run the card through another CC system. Each of the 4 stylists had square devices that they each set up like their own business, so the charges went straight to their own bank accounts, and then the service would either be cancelled or show up as a no-show. They finally got caught when a customer called corporate to complain about her service and was wanting a refund. The transaction was nowhere to be found. The sad thing was one of the stylists was the salon manager, who ended up going to prison for 3 years plus having to pay restitution. I'm not sure what the other 3 got, but I'm sure they all lost their jobs. Just blows the mind the things people will come up with. Dude hit like 10 banks and many other stores, just wearing his pandemic mask and a hood, always on a very rainy/stormy day. Walked in each place and handed them a note that said he would shoot and be certain to kill them if they didn't give him all the cash they had. Ballsy. But I mean, they still haven't caught him. So damn, pretty smart way to do it, I guess. Probably didn't even have a gun. What's funny is none of the banks ever triggered the silent alarm, and most of the stores called like 5 minutes after he left. He must have been pretty intimidating. Not sure exactly what the note said. Edit. Another interesting fact I forgot. He never had a vehicle according to the security cameras. My theory is he had an accomplice somewhere nearby pick him up. Could be a number of other ways though. Would be interested on Reddit's theories how he always got away so clean. Long time ago, friend of mine used to be in a professional car thief group. They would steal 70-80s model cars and trucks, strip them down, repaint/decorate, then sell them. The state next to theirs had this weird thing where if a car was wrecked, it went to the junkyard but the title was never marked as totaled/destroyed. It's been changed, so they would go buy these wrecks for next to nothing, get a clean title, swap the VIN, scrap the wreck at a metal yard, sell the newly VINed car at normal price to regular people. When I asked what made him quit, he laughed and said the local district attorney. Turns out the DA was looking for a Camaro for his wife and said buddy had a newly, minty fresh one with low miles for sale. DA along with his sheriff buddy knocked on friend's door to take it for a test ride, at which point said friend shit his pants. Not only was the Camaro hot, the other car in his garage 3 feet away was in the middle of a rebuild and the truck out front had just been picked up. He was 100% convinced he was screwed beyond belief, but they took the car for a spin, loved it and paid cash for the Camaro. Friend had a come to Jesus moment, saw the error of his thieving ways, took everything automotive at his house to the scrapyard, then went and bought a legit car, all that very day. I'm not a cop, but my friend who worked at Best Buy used to do a pretty clever scheme. It's kinda fucked up, but we were in college and our moral code wasn't exactly honorable at the time. Usually during the holidays there is a deal where if you buy a certain TV you get a gift card, something like $10.20. This wasn't really heavily advertised, but a salesman would likely tell this to a customer to get them to buy a TV. Well, this my friend wouldn't tell the customer. He would just sell the TV and pocket the gift card. However, he knew that each gift card was scanned and tied to the customer's transaction, and him, since he sold the TV. So what he would do is wait until he had a few cards, and then get into a coworker's computer session, and buy one large gift card using the smaller gift cards. Now he could use the larger card for whatever purchases he wants without it really being tracked back to him. Never got caught and I was always impressed he could pull this off. Not a cop but was a coworker to one. Worked in the cage at a casino where all the money is. One girl, pretty new, kept having variances. Her drawer would be off $1-2K fairly often, so they started watching her more closely. We weren't supposed to help friends or family, but she would, and we're supposed to count out by hand the bills. Well, she ran the bills through the jet scan and handed the stack to her sister. Well, her drawer was $10,000 off. Turns out she put a $1 bill on top of a strap of $100s and slid it to her sister. Needless to say, she was caught. She was also stupid enough to brag to other coworkers about how she'd soon have enough money to travel and start a business when the day before she's complaining about being a poor single mom. How obvious could she be? I worked with this one guy who had a lengthy record. He had a system for getting released if he got caught. After committing a crime, if the police were in pursuit and he knew he was about to be cornered, he would act insane. His girl would play along with it, telling the police that he was off his medication. The police would arrest him but then send him to a mental ward with papers instructing the ward to release to police once he was cleared. Once he was in the mental ward, he would cause a distraction that would make the person attending the desk with the file cabinet to leave said cabinet. He would then crawl to the file cabinet, look for his release to police papers, and then would literally eat the papers. When the psych evaluators decided that he was stable enough to be released, there would be no instructions to send him to the police, and he would be released to the general public. He did this about 10 times until police officers noticed him back on the streets. This stunt forced the state to change their procedure for detaining mentally unstable suspects. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more daily videos.